This is Star 106.5 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Okay. You want at the you wanna free the mind. Happy Juneteenth.
I know, right? Everyone's like, "Are you working today?" Yeah, because I am the man, and
That's it. That's it. There we go. Star 106 says, hello, everybody. Welcome to the mental health check-in. Good to be in your company as always on a Wednesday. It's a Wellness Wednesday more, first and foremost. But I got to say thank you to everybody that powers us up. Thank you, of course, to Kalik, the bear of the Bahamas. Thank you to KFC. One time for Pinder Tile. City of Hope, formerly Cancer Treatment Centers of America. Thank you, of course, to the New Energy Era. One time for the Bahamas Out Island Promotion Board. And know that that two-fly free offer ends the end of June. So jump on it. All right. And I got to say a big thank you to Muffler World and Pinder Tile. Good to be in your company as always. A Wellness Wednesday. And Lord knows as you make your way around town and country, at the workplace, church, wherever, you're finding that, or if you just even watch TV, you watch the news, you're finding that we definitely need to spend more time in sensitizing our people and the public at large about mental health and mental health awareness. And of course, a lot of people seem to look good. They dress well. They wear the finest, the biggest of name brand. They've got very good jobs, drive a nice car, live in a nice neighborhood, and the list goes on. But mentally, there are a lot of troubled people. I like to say, that we tend to judge people based on their appearance. Everything tends to look good. Everything seems fine, but we don't know what people's triggers are and the things that make them go off the edge. We don't know what people are going through on a daily basis. Could it be things from their childhood? Could it be, within their upbringing? Could it be in their marriage? Could it be, it can be there's so many variables. But I think we need to understand first and foremost that, behind a pretty smile or glistening eyes could be a troubled soul. And when I say that, I want people to log on to mental health checks. Simply put, you at the beginning of the year, you talk about brand new year, brand new me, and all that good stuff. And you get your company allows you to do a physical once a year, and you check up everything. But Did you check in mentally? Because you see things, just watch the news. People are, doing some stuff. There's some crazy things going on out there. And if you talk to people who allow you into their worlds and will tell you their deepest, darkest secrets and feelings, you find that we have a lot of troubled people and troubled situations. Dr. E, welcome to the show. Always good to have you, my love.
Well, thank you for having me and happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope you are having or making the most out of your day.
Happy Juneteenth for those.
Happy Juneteenth. And you know what? June is men's mental health month, particularly because they needed to have their own time. So when we make sure we do these mental health checks, if you haven't done so, I know everyone might have, celebrated somebody on Sunday for Father's Day, somebody who they appreciate, maybe who operate even in a father-like figure role in their lives. I also want you to make sure you just check in on a guy you know. Because one of the things I find most is when you talk about people doing mental health checks is that a lot of times we see our guys being so strong physically, and we sometimes miss the fact that that's on the outside shell, but what's really going on in the inside, internally for them. And a lot of men need to be checked on, and we can forget our men sometimes. And I really want to make sure we check in on them.
Well,
They protect us, but they need to be protected too.
Well, you know what they say, men are supposed to be built for tough.
Well, they could be tough on the outside, but they could be like an Oreo and like a mush on the inside.
Well, the only time they, are not so for tough is when they're sick. That's when you really see a man just be very vulnerable.
Very, very, very vulnerable. And for a lot of them, I find that for men, they just need safety in order to show you some of that vulnerability. So a lot of women will sometimes say, well, how do I do that? How do I do that? One, women, I got to put you on the spot for this. You cannot use the things that they tell you in those vulnerable moments against them when you get upset. Because every time you do that, they're going to get less and less likely to be open to you. And then they're going to find another safe place to do that at. And so this is where you start to see people engaging in a lot of emotional affairs. It's not because I want to go out and physically necessarily be with somebody else, but I don't feel safe enough to share my stuff with you because you throw it at me.
Fair enough. We're going to take a quick break.
And we know women, the power of the tongue, I can tell you no lie. That is real. Our tongues are deadly.
Okay? Yeah, you know that saying that sticks and stones hurt bones, but words don't hurt. Words hurt, and like I say, if you want to hurt a man, you could just say the wrong thing.
Yep. You could say the wrong thing, and so that's one thing we need to work on if we're going to create safe spaces for men. We also need to allow them to have vulnerable moments and not tell them that that's not manly enough to do so. I still hear women will say stuff like, men shouldn't cry, men shouldn't show any emotions. And I'm having, like, I had a client earlier today, and she was just telling me how her father's just always so stoic. He was in pain yesterday, and she was helping him with this injury he has. So she's, like the good daughter. She's rubbing her dad, saying, "Is this helping?" And her dad was like, "I'm in so much pain, I don't even know how to cry." And I said, "Wow, that's sad. That is sad." He said he doesn't even know how to do it.
What?
He could. And I say that with so people can understand that when you allow yourself to block out the ability to have human emotion, it makes you over time a little less humane with others. Like, that's just as simple as it gets. And I'm saying this because I'm talking this man is in physical pain. He can't. So you don't even know a lot of men are walking around there hurting, and you can't even see it because we're so used to only observing behavior on the outside as someone who needs help. And so let's get the idea that, like you said on the intro, they dress nice, they have the fancy stuff, but what's going on in the inside? So check in on that. Really check in.
Dr. E, we're going to take a quick break right here. Free your mind on a Wellness Wednesday. Stay tuned. More to come.
Is it burger? No. Is it pizza? Come on, man. It's KFC. Whatever the crunch this is, it's delicious. New, the Kentucky Pizza Sandwich. Crispy chicken topped with marinara sauce, mozzarella, and pepperoni. Order your pizza sandwich now at kfcnassau.com or at your favorite KFC restaurant today. It's new and it's radical. KFC, it's finger licking good.
You never been to the sales guy. He said, Lumpkin, how much space you think I got here? I said, I sure. The room big. He said, exactly right. But don't feel like it's big by big because of. He looking at me now, so I say, because plenty things in here. He said, exactly. But it don't feel part of because he looking at me again now, so I say, we playing 20 questions. No, Lumpkin, because of the layout. See the layout pull you in. You don't feel it? I say, well, I goes in the back there because that's where the table and the chairs. So I said, how long the sale running? He said, to July 13th.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Learn more at cancercenter.com.
Blending the newbies with the sweet memories.
I remember when I
The system went down.
Uh-oh.
I can't stop anything. Oh, that's interesting. Still playing though. Woohoo! Okay. It sure is. All right, Dr.E, I'm going to shoot another arrow at you.
Okay.
Star 106 hits music in from Gnarls Barkley, Mr. CeeLo himself with Crazy. A lot of times, we use it quite loosely. When we say, child, I feel like I'm going crazy. And you know what's funny about that statement? A lot of people are telling their truth. They're telling you exactly what it is they're feeling. They feeling like they're going off the edge. There's a thin line, I think, between not just love and hate, but between sanity and insanity. So we got to be very, very careful. I want to hit you with something else. As you know, I try to figure out where I want to go with you because there's so much we need to talk about. But I want to talk about rejection. I want to talk about rejection in different facets, whether it be in a romantic relationship, whether it be with family, whether it be with your child. However, how hard or how easy is it for most people to deal with rejection? I don't want you anymore, or I never wanted you. In some cases, it could be we were good for a minute and all of a sudden, even in friendships, you have platonic friendships where somebody has been around you for the longest. Y'all was down like 4 flat tires, and then all of a sudden, they just disappear, or they just don't need you, or you call them and it's like, bro, listen, I'm busy, or I just don't want to talk to you, and you don't know why. Or, let's say in the case of a family, maybe it's a parent that, is not giving you the love that you deserve, or you don't know what you did to them. Or we've seen something quite recently where somebody wanted to be back in a relationship and it was a no-go, and people just don't know how to process rejection. Talk to me.
Well, I think the first thing is people have to understand that rejection is a part of life. And I know we don't like to think about it that way, but it's also a very painful part of life because it has that emotional, that psychological, and that, of course, that interpersonal consequence, right? You just start to feel alone. You might feel withdrawn from people. You start to blame yourself, Or sometimes you even feel angry because you're trying to figure out, why would somebody want to reject me? Like, what did I do that created this moment with the person? And the first thing is, we have to acknowledge the pain that it has caused. I think that rejection is most painful when it's some expectation that we were hoping to fix. Meaning, like, you get rejected from a job application because you just knew you were so qualified and you had all your ducks in a row, and you don't understand why they don't see you for this role. Or we get rejected by that person who, you know, we've been playing the long game as their friend, hoping that, you know, when they broke up with that other person, you would be the shoe-in to be the next person in their lives. And the first thing we have to acknowledge is, okay, I'm hurt by this person doing this for me. And then after you've processed the fact that you are hurt, and because most of us will start to self-blame, ask yourself, would you want to beat somebody into acknowledging you? That's how I think about rejection. Do I want to beat somebody into submitting to me because I want them to see my value? So I always think about this with intimate relationships, because I see people do this all the time. Like, I'm going to make them see me. If I have to do all of that.
There's a song. There's a song that says, I'm going to make you love me. Yes, I will.
Absolutely. It's not going to happen. Let me just tell you, because as hard as you have to do to get them to see you, it will not stay that way. And that's what people have to understand. Because if somebody saw it, they saw it from the beginning. They didn't need somebody to tell them, acknowledge it, etc. This guy told me the story about how he had proposed to his wife now, but they were together. They were living together for years. I almost want to say almost like 5 to 10 years before he proposed. And I said, wait, what? Hold on now. Hold on. Let me add this up, because something ain't going right. And when I asked him, so, you know, like, what made you to change your mind? Because basically you have the whole family aspect without the title marriage. He said, because she wanted it. And when he talked to his pastor, he told him, you better do it so you don't lose the woman. Not because he actually wanted to do it. To understand the underlying part of that. Because she's so happy now that they are married. But here's the issue. They're coming in because they have problems because he only got married because somebody had to tell him that this was a good idea. He has still, in all of this time, over a decade plus, not seen the person. And what I mean, see, when you can acknowledge somebody for who they truly are and say, I love that about you, your flaws and all. I want to do life with you. Nope. When I said that, I was like, oh, wow. And he has no qualms about saying it. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, if I gotta beat somebody to love me or to marry me in that way, I don't want to do that, because it's not going to last. Hence why they're in issues right now. It's not going to last. And he literally said that was the reason. And I said to the wife, because he says it so freely, I said to the wife, over a decade, he's never heard your voice. You're married. He still doesn't hear your voice, like, listen to you. How do you feel now? Because you're still trying to get him through the course of therapy to listen to you. I can't make him listen to you because he's already made up his mind from a long time ago of what he sees and what he hears, and it's not you. And I know it's painful to hear that, but until you acknowledge your truth, you're never going to see this for what it is, only what you desire it to be in your reality. And it's a lie.
Well, of course, she's got her own relationship going on in her head, right? Which tells her that at the end of the day, she has it in her head what she'd like it to be, what she projects.
Right.
But in reality, he's just there because.
He's just there because. We see this too with familiar relationships where, you know, you can reach out as much as you want and be the golden child. I literally just actually got off from a client earlier who was talking about this. And I mean, the golden child. The child who doesn't get in trouble, the child who is successful in their career, their marriage, raising their family. And I said, guess what? All of those things will never get your mother to see you. Nothing will get your mother to see you because she already created the narrative of who you are in her mind. So you could do one or two things that she may acknowledge, but those are fleeting moments because she does not want to see you.
Why?
I don't know what painful memory she projects onto you, but that is all she sees. And that is so hard for a child to hear who never had an opportunity to say whether or not I wanted to be in this world, right? To hear that the person we are all told who should give you unconditional love and support isn't that person. I think that's the biggest rejection any of us could ever face.
How does one process that? Because again, as I've told you over and over again, I can't wrap my head around that. I come from a broken home. And when I say a broken home, my parents got divorced when I was 7 years old.
Mhm.
But I was telling somebody quite recently that I didn't even realize that they were divorced until I was much older, because my dad was there for every milestone, every dance recital, every Christmas dinner, every birthday party, every bar mitzvah, Rosh Hashanah, you name it. We didn't have all of that, but you get for every occasion. He was
you didn't
there.
feel missed. You didn't feel any missing of
No,
anything.
it just meant that I went between two households. So I just figured, I have two houses, I have two rooms, until I got much older. And like I told you, I come from a home where on both sides there was a lot of affection, a lot. We're very touchy feely. So to try and understand that you can get rejected from a parent, I cannot. How does one work through that?
I think I always tell people the reason I believe wholeheartedly that there are people you're biologically related to, but they're not your family, is for that. Because you might have blood in your veins.
Wait, say that again.
There are people you're biologically related to, but they're not your family.
Is that a real thing?
That is a real thing. Think about it. Do you know all of your cousins?
No, hell no.
Okay, but you're related to them.
True.
Right. So they are your blood relatives, but they're not your family.
Okay, I got one for you. Okay, you have people that have parents, biological parents, right?
Absolutely, right.
But they only know the mother. They don't know the father. They know his name. They've never met him.
Right.
That in itself is a form of rejection, because you opted not to be in my life. And I'm trying to carry on smartly, but deep down, and I had this conversation with a lady this morning, right? She was telling me about her child, and I asked her, I said, does the child, it just came to me, I said, does the child know her father? And she was like, yeah, but he don't do nothing for her, and he don't come around, the classic case of get dressed and daddy don't show up, that kind of thing. And now the child is entering high school and is troubled. And I said to her, that's stemming from the lack of, she's trying to figure out, what did I do or what didn't I do? Why this man don't want to foster a relationship with me? So it's one thing to be hurt for somebody that you don't even know, versus somebody that you do know and you've already established a relationship with, and they've been in your life for so many years.
And they just stop.
And they just either stop, or as long as you could remember, you could tell the difference between you and cousins. Because even sometimes these people treat the cousins, the neighbors, everybody better than you. How is one expected to remain sane?
I think the only way to remain sane is to grieve that loss, but also create a boundary in the fact that you're not going to keep allowing that person to re-enter your life and reopen the wound every time they feel, because it's them. If they feel like, you have those people in your lives who will feel like, well, I'm checking this person, why? Let me just check on them to check a box. Don't tell them, you don't need no box to be checked over here. The door is okay, closed the way it is. And you sometimes have to do that, because if you don't protect yourself, who will? If you don't create safety for you, who will? We cannot expect that to always come from other people, especially those people you might have been thick as thieves with yesterday, and today they walk past you like they don't know you. And I think that is some of the the hardest parts of relationships to go through. But after you go through the grieving process, which is being honest about yourself that the relationship no longer exist the way you want it to. I think that's the first thing we have to do. Then secondly,
hold on, wait. We're gonna take a quick break on that. We are going to take a quick break on this Wellness Wednesday. Yes, get in on the conversation. You got questions, you can call 328-8164 or join us on our Facebook Live, Star 106 in Natural Empress. You can type your responses, your questions right there as well. More to come right here on the Star. I try to remember what I was going to say to you just now. Oh, Lord. Do you think it's a classic case? In some cases, hurt people just hurt people?
Oh, absolutely.
But you're very selective in who you hurt, though. That's the problem I have. Because
we've always hurt the ones closest to us because they're the ones that are the most vulnerable, right? You know, we should be protecting those people, but somehow think about it like this. Like a couple I was just talking to, we will go to work, give 100%. We will give the kids 100%. But your partner, the person who's supposed to be you in this with thick as thieves, who could pull the cord if something ever happened to you, they'd be the last person sometimes on your to-do list. How is that possible?
Okay, I got it for you. I got this one for you. Hold on, I can wait till live. You ain't gonna knock this thought out my head. No, I'm holding on. I am holding on. Okay. Some women is under the perception that since she can't hurt him physically, she's going to get it. Oh, this in terms of words. Okay. Manhood, yes. Find some inflict pain on the guy. Yeah. Mary, I wish somebody could, child. Somebody need to help all us with 5K, honey.
Exactly. Send it around. Let's pass the collection plate. Collection plate.
Ooh, Mary, you brassy, man.
Funny thing is, somebody will probably fall for that.
Mary said, "Can someone help me?" Mary,
you know the audacity has changed when you no longer ask for 100. You ask for K.
Anyway, no comment.
Audacity.
The phone ringing.
Woo, we gotta go. Let's go.
And now.
106. Hello. Star 106 hits. This is Free Your Mind on a Wellness Wednesday. The phone line is ringing. Listen, rejection. What a horrible, I think, emotion for anyone to try and process. Now, I remember what I wanted to ask you, Doc. Just think about when one finds out that their significant other is cheating. The first thing you want to know is why, right? Either what did I do or what I didn't do. And then the next thing, and in no particular order, the next thing is you want to find out who. You want to see the person. You want to size up. You want to figure out what it is you're lacking or what it is that she has that you don't, or he, or however it goes, right? I say that to say this. In a case where you're being rejected and don't have any inclination as to why, I think that is the most disturbing, for a lack of a better expression, to a person, because you don't know why. It's different if you say it's because you ugly like your pa, okay? Or you were disrespectful to me when you were 6 and I still ain't get over it. Or because you've been disrespectful to me all your life.
Right.
Or for whatever, just there got to be a reason. But when you don't know, how is one supposed to, how? Tell me how.
Then at that point, if you've asked the person to give you an explanation, they can't, then you have to say that is them projecting whatever it is in them onto you, and you can't own that. You cannot own their mess, their hurt, their pains, their inability to emotionally express themselves. That is on them. And this is where you really have to say to yourself, like, but this ain't have nothing to do with me. because most people's behavior is a direct reflection of how they're feeling internally.
Yeah, but then hold on. But then when you see them interacting with others and you don't see that behavioral pattern, then what do you think? It's obviously me.
No, it doesn't have to be you. It could be the fact that there's something about you that reminds them of themselves. And a lot of times that is what people are reacting to, right? And so when we talk about things like jealousy and envy and stuff like that,
can a parent be jealous of a child?
I'm just about to give you an example of that. I know a parent-child dynamic where the child has been able to literally just be able to make more independent decisions for themselves than the mother was able to throughout her course of her life. And she is literally envious of her child's success. And that's just a small example.
Did she say that, or that's what you surmise?
Oh, that's what I surmise from the behavior. Because I mean, the malicious attacks, the gaslighting, the emotional manipulation, the fact that this person tries to negatively beat the child down emotionally in every area, there is no other reason. Because there is nothing in their history. And I'm talking, this is a great child. So this isn't like, oh, this was the rude child who recovered. This has always been one of those children who sometimes you miss them in the wrong because they're so quiet, right? And so there's never been a problem, not even a colicky baby. So it's nothing about this child. And you know why I knew it? Because this is where I got the envious moment. And sometimes people don't realize it. It's the things that the parent says. So the parent said to this child at one point, when the dad was showing like love and appreciation, oh, I wish my dad would love me like that. And it was like, wow, that's your husband. Like, first of all, it's just a little comments that sometimes you have to hear that people say. And unless you really know their true character about how they feel in the whole dynamic. And so, I mean, not everybody really should be allowed to be a parent. Like, honestly, like, I really wish we could put some measures in place to pass laws, bills, whatever, so that we could go through a criteria before people are allowed to procreate. Because the damage that some people are doing as parents, I am so ashamed that people will call you a parent because you just were able to, have coitus and something happened. And there are people out there who genuinely, I think, will be fantastic parents who cannot conceive.
Yes.
That is what is so heartbreaking, because you were given this gift. And no matter what the circumstances are surrounding how the gift happened, and it's like you can't take care of the gift. So why would you be awarded with anything else that would go well? And some people don't realize that. Like, your life was going in this trajectory because the gifts that you were given, you don't even know how to appreciate.
True. But then here's the thing about that too, where children are concerned. So I guess that goes to show that there's such a thing as a favorite child.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? This is what I don't like. And every parent can tell me something different, but it's maybe the word favorite is what irritates people, but everyone have a preferred child. And it sometimes can be as simple as the personality, right? So I think in every family that exists, and it might not be intentional. I don't think a lot of parents try to intentionally do it or slight one over the other. But there's something about, just think about the friends you have or the co-workers you're attracted to. It's something about their personalities that make you just like them a little bit more than the other person. And that's simply what happens with kids too. There's something about that child that either you just really gravitate towards. So it's nothing wrong with it. I just think we have to be honest with it and realize how it may affect the dynamics. That's it. Just be honest with it. Like, I tell people all the time, it's like, oh yeah, child my brother is my mom's favorite. That don't bother me. Like, absolutely not. But it's because I think he's a very, like, I think he's a more soft-spoken, well-mannered child, if you ask me. I'm the rebel. I am the rebel child. And I'm okay with that title. And I always tell her, I was like, geez, if I'm the rebel, I don't even know what real rebel children look like.
Right.
Because in her mind, like, and really it's more of the fact that I speak up, I will push back. I'm a baby.
You're vocal.
I'm the bossy one in the family.
Me too. Hello.
Right.
Welcome.
And so it's just that. And so do I think she loves me any less? Absolutely not. But it's just a preference, and I'm okay. I've acknowledged it, and I'm okay with it. And when I say it to her, sometimes she's be like, well, why do you say that? I'm like, oh, it doesn't affect my self-esteem at all. Just so we know, I just want you to acknowledge that this is what it is, so we can move on. So we can just move on.
Yeah, but in the case of a parent that's showing less love or no love versus the other children, then you have to wonder, like, what did I do? Like, why you treat me this way? Everybody else sees me as a good person.
It leaves children, let me tell you how it affects children in the long term. It leaves children always with a hole in their hearts, and that nobody else can fulfill for them, not even when they have their own children. And it's because they desire that person that who gave them life to acknowledge their existence. Let me say that again. They want the person who gave them life to acknowledge their existence. And when that doesn't happen for them, they continue to try to pack that wound with other things. Like I said, they will be probably really successful, really confident.
I give an example. I just saw on the internet that Tina Turner's mother never wanted to have a relationship with her. She never loved her. She never felt love. She did everything that she could.
Wow.
Buy mom a house, do all these things. And her mom just never, ever, ever gave her no love.
Right.
Until she even died. You know what I mean?
And
So,
you die with that. You die with that hole in your heart that nobody has an opportunity to fulfill. And I would tell anybody who's suffering from that right now, know that it is not you, and there's nothing that you didn't do. It's just that some people are broken, and unfortunately you got a broken version of a parent, and you deserved better. You really deserved better than that. And it's unfortunate that they didn't get to acknowledge how great you are, but there are people around you who do, and that's who you need to pour into, and that's who you need to consider your family, because those are the people that have decided to know you for you, flaws and all, and they are excited, appreciative, and just wanting the best for you. And I know that hole may never be fulfilled, but just don't let it suffocate you from becoming the best version of yourself, because then you would give that person more power in your life than they deserve. And some of us allow those people who mean nothing to us to control us in ways that stop us from being as great as we can be.
Yeah, because these are the people that we deem family, and family comes so-called first. So it's hard to say, you know what, don't let these people do this to you, because in your head you're thinking, well, this is my life giver, this is my sister, this is my brother, this is my Grammy, this is whoever, this is family.
Right. And so family is defined as the people you've decided after you turn 18, the people you've decided that you want to co-create relationships with in a healthy space that enhance your lives and enhance theirs. So anyone who meets that criteria is your family. And that is not only defined by blood relation.
Okay, we got a question. Dr. E, I have a question. What is love and parenting in the Bahamas?
That's a broad question, but I'll say this. First of all, I've realized, even in a conversation today with a client, many of us don't have a definition for love. Like, it's a very scattered definition. Because I asked this client, how do they know what love is? And I'm talking as a grown woman. And they had no idea how to define that, because those initial relationships in their lives, like the one with their mother and their father, did not feel loving in nature. Meaning, when I think of love, I think about care, I think about affection, I think about just feeling good. That's the simplest way I can think of my definition of love. And how that correlates with parenting is that not everyone who's our parent is loving. And not everyone we love can parent.
Yikes.
And so parenting in our country for some child parent relationships is just the fact that I gave you life, and
that I've made provisions.
and provisions being a very scarce word, because some stories I've heard, y'all people need to be locked up for child abuse. But I think in our country, when it comes to love and parenting, we can all use some classes on what it is, but we should define it for ourselves in order so that the best that you could do if you are a parent is figure out how you're not going to damage the next generation by your stuff. That makes a great parent. That's
Yeah, but that requires looking at the man in the mirror and seeing what it is you're doing or not doing, and most are not willing to do so. So unless you on the outside see it for what it is and decide to make the change, then here it is, the cycle continues.
exactly. And so the when it comes to people feeling loved and parented in a good way, I think that I bet you if you do a survey with your friends, you will probably maybe get maybe a 50% response that they all felt loved and that they had good parents in their lives. And some of it is not the fault of the child. It's the fact that their parents lacked their own parenting, right? So they didn't have parents. And so the generational cycles continue. And until someone decides that they're going to be the generational breaker of things, it's Juneteenth. Perfect day to have this conversation.
Yes.
You want to change generational patterns? It starts with us.
Start
And so
today.
today was all about liberation and freedom and changing the generational times. So the question we're going to say to all of you is, how are you planning to change the next generation for the better? What is
Yes.
one thing you're imparting on your kids? Maybe it's a skill set you have. Maybe it's a fundamental belief. But whatever it is you have to do, figure out how you're going to be better for the next generation.
Yes, indeed. I love that, because you know when I realized that my upbringing was exceptional in a lot for I mean, despite the fact that my parents were divorced,
Yeah.
all right, which makes it not perfect. But when my parents died, everybody that I grew up with on my in my neighborhood, right? If you know anything about, anyway, it doesn't matter. Freeport,
Mhm.
this particular area where the streets were named after islands from A
Mhm.
to the last street was Jamaica Avenue, right? So
Mhm.
from A to J, right? Said to me in all the condolences and the outpouring of love was that, when we were growing up, I always admired how your parents dealt with you. And I've patterned my parental skills
Wow.
based on what I saw in your parents, though they were divorced, because I didn't get that growing up. My parents were those. I come from a nuclear family. This is my
Mhm.
friends talking, my neighborhood friends saying that they, even though their parents had big highfalutin jobs and was able to afford a lot, they didn't have what I had. And now they're patterning their skills as parents, not based on what they learned, but what they learned from my parents. So
Wow.
talk about
Like,
comfort.
so I would say that you did have a perfect parenting, because your parents were bigger. They decided parenting you was bigger than their own individual issues. So
Yes,
they would come together for that. And I think that's what makes it perfect.
yes,
And because of many parents would think about the child over their own individual needs,
yes,
then they could be able to be great parents. Because for a lot of some of the couples I've helped over the last years, because not everybody who got married initially will be together forever, but they have decided to really consciously co-parent. And I mean consciously, because that's what your parents did. They
yes.
decided that they were going to make this a priority. And I'm sure they had probably had their little fights here and there, but it was not big enough for them to stop whatever their dynamic was, to make sure that you never felt anything other than love and
Ever,
care.
ever, up until their dying day, never.
Exactly. And to me, that is the true definition of love, that I will put these things on hold. And that's so when we're learning in school about like kind of some of the fundamentals of psychology, one of the things they talk about is generativity versus stagnation. And this is why it's so important in identity development that After you figure out who you are, then the next step should be, who do you want to spend your life with? Then after that, you decide whether or not you were going to have kids, which is the generativity part. And if you decide that you want to do it by having your own kids, fostering kids, godparents, whatever way it is, you're doing it in a way where you've decided, you know what, I've done these things in my life, so I'm going to put me on hold, and I'm going to raise the next generation out of love and care, not out of the fact that I am only doing this when it does not, when it doesn't hurt me. That's not true healthy parenting. And because if you intentionally thought about having that child, you should have thought about the plan a little bit
Yes.
before having that child.
Yes.
And that's what your parents did. And because I know plenty of people who have nuclear families. And when I ask them, one of the questions I always ask on an initial assessment is, how would you describe your childhood growing up? Was it normal, regular ups and downs? Did you guys move around a lot? Were your parents, should they have gotten divorced? Was your house chaotic? And there are so many people who answer that question, whereas they were together, but they weren't married.
Wow.
Or they were together, but they weren't loving. So like you said at the beginning of the show, people look a certain way because to the world, to
they
their
were the best
churches,
thing
to
ever. Yes.
everything, they were a great nuclear family, but internally it was chaotic. And the kids did not appreciate that. And so I always tell people it's better for two parents to be happy as individuals and co-parent than to be miserable and together and ruin their children.
Thank you, Dr. E. Always a pleasure. We're way over time, but it was always so insightful. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. All right, top of the hour, Drive at 5 coming your way right here on the Star. So please address your people here. This one needs to see you. Raisa told her to follow you on Facebook. Dr. E, you need to set a time for me and see you and meet you. Okay. So tell her where, tell her how.
Sure, you can go to my website, www.rpc-ltd.com, or you could just give my office a call, 425-0718. So thank you all for listening and participating.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. E. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.